Are you looking for the best? Look no further. Pride Nutrition, the highest quality supplement line in the industry. Today only, use the discount code MMR30 and receive 30% off and a free shaker cup to the first 50 orders.
Mandus Buckle here with the Midwest Muscle Report. We are at the 2016 Nationals, and I'm sitting here with usually my co-host, but today he's an athlete competing in the super heavyweight division. The one and only Brent Swansen. Bud, how you doing?
I feel pretty good.
You should feel pretty good. This is your second major show of the year. You did USA's earlier in the year.
Mm-hmm.
You were top 5. You were one of the most conditioned guys at that show. Cracked the top 5. Looked really good. You weren't gonna do this show. You wanted to concentrate on your wife getting ready for the Olympia. I tried to talk you into doing it. You said you'd put it on the back burner, and weeks later you called and said, "Hey, let's go after it." What made you decide to do that?
Honestly, I after USA's, I felt like I just needed a break mentally, and I wanted to be there for her. So there was like an 8-week break, and from the actual the day the Olympia was over, I think it was like put us at 8.5 weeks, and that's when I decided to do it. I know the way Autumn came in for the show, it's almost like when she does good, I do good. When I do good, she does good type of thing. And, she fell short of where she wanted to with some issues that, we couldn't really help. And that just kind of left a bitter taste in her mouth and my mouth. And I was just kind of, I don't know if I was ticked off or just, you know what I mean? Just disappointed.
Absolutely.
I was like, almost like atone for the family.
Right.
You know what I mean? And atoning for the family means shoot 8th in the world. I mean, it's great. But for her, I mean, like, she's one of the top faces in the sport. So it's like, I just really wanted to use that kind of energy and kind of just, and
Right.
put it into one more for the year, and then shut it all down, and then take a break and have Thanksgiving and Christmas and eat and enjoy life a little bit. So
okay. Now there was a couple areas that you wanted to focus on,
mm-hmm.
and you definitely in a short period of time you couldn't make drastic changes in that period of time. We're being realistic. But there are definitely in 16 weeks, there are some good changes you can make in specific areas. And that's really what you focused on. And it showed because you came here now to an even bigger show. Some might say Nationals, some say USA. Usually they take turns at which is the top show, but it's Nationals. And here you are again, finding yourself in the top 5. And all the talk was now here, you weren't one of the most conditioned. You were the most conditioned super heavyweight in the class. You were the hardest super heavyweight in the class. You weren't the biggest, but you had the conditioning, you had the hardness, you had the dryness. Now they shuffled you guys around a bit, which they had you in the middle in the beginning, and they moved you around a little bit. Where's your mindset at right now?
I don't know really what to expect, if I'm being honest. And I'm pretty transparent, so I'm just going to say what I'm thinking. I think there's if I'm being honest, I think there's a small percentage where maybe they saw me and they're just like, okay, he's the clear-cut winner, let's move him to the side. But I think my gut feeling probably is 3 to 4. Even though I was clearly the most conditioned and the most hardest guy, there are guys with, I don't want to say prettier physiques, but I mean more fluid physiques.
There's a couple guys that had nicer shit.
Yeah. I just wish that overall that the supers would have come in a little bit better condition.
Right.
I was very happy with my conditioning, but I think as a class as a whole, it was
it was weak.
It was a little lacking.
The conditioning in the super heavyweights was weak. It was you, then it was Dorian, and it was the rest. The conditioning was just not there.
It just wasn't there, and I have good size, but then the guys who were kind of bigger than me, they kind of had moved. Which I don't know if they did or not. We'll see what happens tonight. But it looks like they moved in front of me, but I don't know. I'm a person who I can't worry about anybody else with myself. As long as I know that I'm conditioned and dried, that means that I suffered. Okay, and when I have like people from the different news people that are here and the people who are promoters of shows who just come up to me and say, hey, you looked awesome, you were dry, hard, ripped, grainy, like that's what I go for, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day,
that's what you can control.
That's what I can control. So at the end of the day, if I come in dry, hard, vascular, grainy, I mean, like I couldn't do any more than I did, so I just have to rest my hat on that. And, first call-outs and nationals is an achievement in itself. So, I mean, whatever happens tonight happens. I mean, obviously the competitor in me, do I want to get my pro card tonight? Yeah, of course. Is that going to happen? I don't know. We'll see. I mean, there's a small percentage, but like I said, if I had to bank on it, I would say I probably got third or fourth, but, you never know until they come out with awards, because that's what we were talking earlier, in other national shows. Sometimes the guys who are put in the middle don't necessarily win.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We have seen that.
Yeah.
The competitor in you says, you deserve to be there. Other people are telling you should be there. That's the competitive side. This sport, the part that no one can control is what the final determination is. And at the end of the day, there is no right or wrong. If they place you third, it's what that particular panel of judges saw for today. It's a subjective sport.
Exactly.
So you and I may not always agree, but that's why there's an entire panel.
You respect it and you move on. I mean, they have a tough job to do.
A very hard job.
I never am bitter towards any judge or any placing because they have a hard job to do.
Correct.
I might like an apple, they might like an orange. So it's like, it really comes down to personal preference. You know what I mean? So,
and let's be honest, most of the time, they do get it right.
Yeah, they do. They do. So, I mean, like, I just think it's a blessing in my first two huge national shows to be in the first call-outs, and I'm very appreciative of that. And, let's just get better and then eventually knock this out and win one, dang it. So.
Yeah. Now, that's something that I'd like to touch on for a second, because the reality is, as a coach, I want you to walk away with a pro card. As a competitor, you want to win. That's what you trained for. No matter what happens tonight, the last two shows in the super heavyweight class, at the two biggest shows that anyone can do, you were in the top 5. There's something to be said there. And again, you control what you can control. Mm-hmm. So tonight's going to be interesting. We wish for the best. Is there any advice you can give to a regional level athlete that might be thinking about jumping to nationals or is on their way up? Because it was not too long ago, you were at a regional show and you actually took third.
Yeah. And
a few weeks later, turned around and won a national show as a super heavyweight.
Yeah.
So that's something that most people couldn't be able to do. Is there some advice you would give some regional level or up-and-comers on how or why they should go down the road of are they ready or not?
Basically, you just got to be ready to sacrifice.
Yeah.
You got to be ready to basically give everything up for that time period. And, you got to be willing to suffer, because if not, then guess what? You got 49 other states, you've got a ton of other people who are suffering and who are going to give it their all. And the worst feeling as a competitor that you can ever have, and I've done it one time in my life, is to step on stage knowing that you didn't do everything that you can to be ready for a show. And that feeling that you will leave that show in your gut is far worse than any hunger pain or any I didn't train hard enough pain or anything like that. So if you're going to do it, you just give it your all. And if you give it your all at the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter where you place. Like, as long as you know that you've given it your all, like, hey, this is my best. You know what I mean? And as long as you're your best, you just keep on being a good advocate for the sport and be a positive light to those in your community and to those, who look up to you. And that's what this sport's about. And that's what's great about the NPC. There's a lot of people who are good people who are making waves in their part of the world. So
you're one of them, buddy. You're one of them.
Well,
this was your best, and it showed. And that's why there were so many people who came up to you to tell you, hey, you looked fantastic. You're one of the good guys in the sport, and you bring it every time you compete. It's a pleasure to work with you. It's a pleasure to watch you. It's a pleasure to listen to you. And I hope for nothing but the best for tonight.
Well, thank you. And it's just a pleasure to, have you as my coach and have this team around us. And, NPC is just the only place to compete.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
If you're, like I said, if you're thinking about jumping to that national level, just make sure that you're ready and then just give it your all. So.
You heard it, guys. Believe me, this is a wise guy. Very wise man. Take his advice. Half of Brent Swansen, Mandus Buckle, Midwest Mystery. We're out.